Macmillan Audio presents The Squad, AOC and the Hope of a Political Revolution, written and read by Ryan Grimm. For my squad, Elzan, Iris, Sydney, Virginia, and George, and for yours. Chapter 1. Ending Racism. On April 30th, 2015, a clear spring day in Washington, D.C., Bernie Sanders shuffled out of the Capitol building to a waiting collection of microphones and a C-SPAN camera. Despite his 25 years as the only Democratic socialist serving in Congress, the U.S. Senator from Vermont was far from a household name. About a dozen reporters, and no other spectators, gathered around him. Let me just make a brief comment. Be happy to take a few questions, but we don't have an endless amount of time. I've got to get back, the always impatient Sanders grumbled before explaining why he was announcing an improbable run for the presidency. The country was facing a set of interlocking crises, the likes of which hadn't been seen since the Great Depression. For most Americans, their reality is that they're working longer hours for lower wages, Sanders said, explaining that people regularly approached him to ask why they were producing more than ever, yet struggling as the rich only got richer. All over the country, I've been talking to people, Sanders said. My kid can't afford to go to college. I'm having a hard time affording health care. How does that happen while at exactly the same time, 99% of all new income generated in this country is going to the top 1%? These weren't just familiar themes coming from Sanders. They flowed straight from a left-wing zeitgeist that had found its footing in the encampments of Occupy Wall Street in the fall of 2011, less than 4 years earlier. Amid the rubble of the Obama administration's pivot to austerity in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, tent cities had sprung up around the country, organized around the principle of the 99% against the 1%. Occupy was an effort to create the broadest possible we and set it against a definable other in the super rich. For decades, under the pressure of neoliberalism and the Reagan Revolution, which smashed unions, suppressed wages, and challenged the very idea of the collective pursuit of a better world, the left had splintered into ever more discrete factions, pushing single issues under the umbrella of the Democratic Party. Jesse Jackson, in 1984 and 1988, attempted to organize that energy into a rainbow coalition, coming shockingly close to seizing the 1988 Democratic nomination and inspiring Sanders, who, for the first time, caucused as a Democrat, leading the effort to deliver the almost all-white state of Vermont to Jackson. Sanders, preparing for his 2016 presidential run, met with a team of progressive online fundraisers, one of whom guessed the senator might be able to raise $25 million throughout his campaign, a sum Sanders and the rest of the team thought preposterous. Sanders nodded to that pessimism at his opening press conference. One of the hesitancies I had in deciding whether to run or not was obviously dealing with money, he said. I'm not going to get money from the Koch brothers, and I'm not going to get money from billionaires. I'm going to have to raise my campaign contributions through BernieSanders.com, small, individual contributions. By the end of the day, his fundraising team was floored. The no-frills C-SPAN affair had netted the campaign $1.5 million in the first 24 hours, exceeding their wildest expectations by several multiples. Something was happening out there. Sanders started off polling at about 15%, but as the campaign went on, increasingly enthusiastic crowds followed him everywhere he went. People started to feel the burn, a phrase conjured up by Occupy organizer Winnie Wong, who had converted her operation to draft Elizabeth Warren to run for president into People for Bernie. By the fall of 2015, Hillary Clinton's campaign staff were growing concerned about the momentum behind Sanders. His crowd sizes were exploding, his poll numbers were rising, and even if he didn't yet represent a threat that might snatch away the nomination, a drawn-out fight, the campaign was concerned, would drag them down in the general election. In early October, Clinton agreed to appear on Saturday Night Live, and that weekend, her campaign's top brass huddled to debate how to respond to the accusation made by Sanders that Clinton was too cozy with Wall Street.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?